Okay, folks, so Palantir just reported earnings and it popped up over 20% today at highs in one of its best single trading days of the last couple of years. In today's video, we are going to break down exactly what they said, why this was such a massive shock to the stock market, and we're going to cover an incoming catalyst for this stock that should hit over the next couple of weeks or month. Which, by the way, for those of you who are subscribed already to our completely free emails, well, you were fully prepared for this earnings a couple days ahead of time because we sent out a big email blast. So make sure, folks, if you aren't yet in our email list, make sure to sign up with that first link down below. Cough, cough. Okay, let's start with the tier of the Palantir from Bloomberg. Quote, Palantir Technologies Inc. surged the most in almost 6 months after the company reported the 4th consecutive quarter of profitability and highest earnings since its founding 20 years ago, citing strong demand for new artificial intelligence offerings. Now, after 4 consecutive quarters, companies are eligible to join the S&P 500, which means that Palantir is now eligible for that index, and it is the most heavily invested in index in the world. So anytime someone's going and buying the S&P 500, they're now going to be buying Palantir. Now, you got to remember, folks, that going into this earnings, Palantir had an average recommendation of reduce from the 15 major research firms covering it. They said that this was a loser stock, with many firms outright begging their followers to sell. Palantir once again flipped them a certain finger. And let me tell you, it wasn't the pinky finger. Now, for full context, though, Palantir has had a great year, an insane year. Yes, I understand that analysts have been bashing the stock all year, and they've been trying to bash it to the ground. But quite frankly, I mean, this has been an incredible year for anybody who's interested in Palantir. I mean, last quarter, they announced a $1 billion stock buyback program. They just got a new Army AI contract worth up to $250 million. They were ranked the #1 vendor in AI, data science, and machine learning. They've had recognition and new and expanded partnerships for their work in many different sectors, ranging from energy, web services, defense contracting, national health services, direct public sector, utilities, you name it. Almost every industry you are seeing Palantir expand more and more into, get more and more contracts with, and get recognition in, while at the same time managing to be profitable quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter. Now, if you go back to my videos a few months ago, we broke down my argument for Palantir to get to $500, why I believe it will happen, and in what time span. And my argument had a lot to do with the AI suite of products that they are scaling out aggressively. There's a lot of companies that got huge allocation this year from Wall Street simply for having AI in a single press release that they came out with. Well, the difference between them and Palantir is that Palantir is actually a leader in AI and is actually selling it to customers who are actually using it. I know, shocker. Most people on Wall Street are like, all we need is for them to say that they're thinking about potentially, maybe, perhaps their brother, sister's mother is going to be using AI. With Palantir, they're actually doing it and showing proof of concept quarter after quarter after quarter. Now, before they came out with this AI suite of products, they really were still an AI company. But this year with their next suite of products, it's hands down some of the most advanced AI in the market. And I'm not saying that because I understand the coding behind it. I'm saying that because you could see that based on how many companies are adopting the software and continuing to use it and spend more and more money with it. CEO Alex Karp said today, quote, we earned the most significant profit in our company's 20-year history. Now, remember, folks, the deal with Palantir has long been that their software itself has really high profit margin potential, but they prefer to reinvest that profit margin potential instead into R&D in terms of onboarding more and more customers, and then in the long run, playing for insane profitability. And for years, we've been talking about how Wall Street hates that. They absolutely hate that. They want Palantir to be shitting out profits now. However, Palantir has been putting in the work, and now they're really shooting out the profits. And if they wanted to, tomorrow they could cut R&D, they could cut onboarding, and all of a sudden you have a lot more profits, and Wall Street is really impressed. But what they're doing is very strategic and is a long-term game. Now let's look at their actual numbers and pay attention to the trend. You look at customer count, they're up 34% year over year with very consistent growth. And when you take out the government segment, commercial count is up 45%. Now, Palantir is king of consistency. Once they lock in a new customer, that customer has to go through a very expensive, extensive, and very headache-making process in order to switch to a competitor, which probably is subpar anyways. Palantir's products are such that they are fine-tuned to work with each customer. So they go and they hire Palantir for one part of the business. Palantir figures out how to integrate their software in that business with custom variables, and all of a sudden it starts increasing efficiency there, and all of a sudden Palantir's platform is all over that company, and they have a bigger and bigger contract. The problem is that this process takes a while to onboard. It costs a lot for both Palantir and the company in the beginning in terms of both actual cost and in terms of time and effort. But once it's integrated, it's very, very, very inefficient to unintegrate it. And Palantir's platforms get better over time, so it really mitigates any sort of reason for companies to unintegrate. Palantir software is not a one and done solution. It is a reoccurring revenue model. Once a customer is locked in, they got that customer most likely for a very, very, very long time. And again, they're likely going to sell that customer on more and more Palantir software uses throughout that customer's business. How do I know this? Well, because that's what they've been reporting for years. The trend is so clear, it hurts. You look at the scaling up of revenue since 2019, the top 20 clients in turquoise have consistently scaled up revenue as new customers have been onboarded. Yes, I understand it's a slow and steady process that compounds exponentially over time. A lot of people say, I want everything now. Palantir needs to do everything now. Well, people that said that a couple years ago, well, Palantir, the company, has really, really proven them wrong again and again and again. Now, of course, Palantir, the stock, hasn't proven them wrong. In fact, Palantir, the stock, has proven them really, really right. You'd think, based on that stock, that this company is complete garbage. But still, that is why there's an inefficiency with the stock and why there's such a big cult following for it, because those who get it, and those who don't. And today was another example of what happens when people wake up to the real value behind the stock. Palantir has now achieved GAAP profitability for its fourth consecutive quarter. I can still remember how analysts treated Palantir when it dipped from 30.9 million to 16.8 million. They said, Palantir is over. It's heading for bankruptcy. Please get your money out of this scam of a company. And a lot of people did. It was very, very effective. Short sellers made out like bandits. They got themselves new Porsches. They got their ex-wives new Porsches. But quite frankly, I mean, if you look at the overall trend of this company, they have done what they set out to do quarter after quarter after quarter, and work that they put in like 3 or 4 years ago is now paying off. I can't imagine what it's going to look like in a year or two more. Now, if it sounds like I'm overly excited about Palantir today, it's because I am pretty excited about these earnings. But again, you have to look at the underlying stuff yourself. Just because I'm enthusiastic about something doesn't mean that you should be too. A lot of these predictions on the business model, I said years ago, you're going to see a massive, massive success with Palantir. A lot of these operational efficiency boosts, a lot of the customers that are scaling in the proof of concept there, to me, suggested that this was going to be a huge winner. And I was right in terms of the business itself. I was very, very wrong in terms of the stock price. In fact, Palantir stock, again, has been quite the underperformer. But again, as you look at this data, you have to ask yourself what the stock is going to look like when markets can no longer close their eyes, when markets can no longer say, oh, this isn't ESG compliant and thus I can't invest in it, when markets can no longer say, oh, I don't like the work they're doing with the government, oh, I don't like this or that they've done, oh, I don't like their figurehead, when markets are like, hey, they're shooting out profits. Maybe it's time that we start allocating into it. Now, another thing that I want to draw to your attention is the amount of revenue that they are making per employee. A lot of analysts skip over this, but this shows their efficiency in terms of actually managing their operations and hiring people strategically and thoughtfully. In Q3 of 2019, Palantir was generating about $299,000 in revenue per employee. Q3 2023, it's at $558,000. That's a lot of revenue generated per employee and a consistent improvement. A lot of companies, as they grow, tend to onboard a lot more employees than they need, and all of a sudden you got all these employees walking around like morons, not knowing what to do, and all of a sudden the amount of revenue generated per employee goes like this. But Palantir has been very, very mindful. But anyways, folks, with Palantir overall, I really believe that you should judge Palantir on just 2 metrics. A lot of people like to focus on things like share-based compensation, marketing expenses, R&D expenses, but you should really just look, if you're looking at this at a long-term perspective, you should really just look at 2 things. Are they able to scale their old customers into bigger and bigger contracts at a consistent pace? And are they able to acquire new customers at a consistent and regular pace? If the answer to both of those are yes, well, in the long run, you're going to see more and more profits shoot out of Palantir. That's my personal opinion. You could have your own. Again, I've been talking about Palantir for years because of market environments, because of this not being ESG, because of this and this and this and this and that, and short sellers and blah, 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 blah. Palantir has not really had that much recognition as a stock. It's mostly just stagnated within range with certain massive dump cycles and then massive pump cycles and rinse and repeat. But over the long run, I can see this breaking out in a massive, massive way. And I think if you're looking out a year, 2, 3 definitely 5 in my view, you're going to be thinking, oof, I wish that I had had more Palantir. My view, do your own due diligence, but that's my thought process. Also, by the way, quick plug, if you'd like to get our now almost daily research reports and ideas for absolutely zero cost, make sure to sign up for our free ZipTrader emails with that first link down below. Aside from trade ideas, our team also posts very insightful articles on what's going on in the big tech world with Apple and Microsoft in various industries and hot sectors, as well as trading and psychology tips. Folks, you do not want to miss our completely free email blasts. Make sure to sign up with them with our link down below. Anyways, folks, that caps off today's video. If you found value in it, make sure to hit that ravishing like button and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.